Gold is looking interesting, right? Gold has some very, very nice moves, in the market here, right? So one of the things we spoke about was this gap over here. We also spoke about this on Wyckoff Sundays, the possibility of this being filled. Obviously saw the market go ahead and perfectly fill that gap, with a nice sweep as well, giving potential buy opportunities. Yeah, again, it's just like literally just gaps, and obviously here we can see accumulation price action happening, right? First drive, second drive, third drive down. We can see that third drive down ended up being a really nice buy to sell motion that tapped into that overall gap that we spoke about on Wyckoff Sundays. And then, what do we have? We had another gap happen. Price pulls back, reaccumulates inside of this low, and then we ended up getting the bottom so far of the week for gold. We are going to get another buying opportunity. The question is, where are we going to get it, right? Could even be right now, to be honest, potentially. We are inside of a low here that we did see a really nice sweep. Right. So potentially, if this could end up actually being a mitigation, maybe we could actually look for another buy to go ahead and attack these highs here. But obviously, I'm not just going to buy here just because we're in a low, right? We're obviously seeing price, sell off pretty aggressively. We could see the distribution that just recently happened in here. So I really want to see like a proper setup inside of these lows, in order for me to actually like this. This looks like it'll probably just continue to fall. Maybe we'll end up getting a sweep on these lows, right? Or maybe it'll even end up taking both of these out as well, right? We'll see how price holds up. We probably want to look for the change in structure, and then from there look for the continuation anyways. But personally for me, just because of the highs, I still think this is liquidity. It's possible we hold this order flow for now, and then, we sell off, and then later on we end up buying up. But I do think that we do have a new target on gold now that we've had all this opportunity for sellers to get into the market. And, we just consistently holding previous highs again and again. And so that's just going to bring in a lot of stop losses above these levels, there, right? And especially here, since it starts with such a big wick, I definitely see this as high probability for us to go ahead and make a new high on gold. So it's just about going ahead and waiting and seeing where we can find an entry. Damn, okay, gold's actually looking pretty good for the buys. I'm not going to lie. It looks like we might have just had an internal liquidity sweep here, right? We have this institutional candle. Looks like we have a second one coming into that same zone, right? 3 minutes creating a trap candle and stuff as well. Gold doesn't look bad. Again, I don't really like to trade this too much before New York Open. Again, there's still a chance that we do end up getting one more sweep. So I would probably want to be more careful, but we definitely do see, the market sweeping lows, right? Breaking above, retracing, and then, potentially now we can see our continuation to the upside. We can go ahead and just take our entry at low risk and try this out, right? Again, like I said, if we can kind of see the signs of order flow happening. If we do end up holding this candle right here, then it could end up being a play to potentially attack these highs and stuff. If not, then again, like I said, it could be that we're going to go ahead and do one more sweep around New York Open, and then from there go ahead and buy. We're up about 50 pips or so already. Again, we wouldn't want to see price again, we did see this liquidity here, which is one of the reasons why we took the trade as well. It was a really clear target. Hopefully we don't end up just buying up to take that liquidity and selling right back off. But if we can hold, then this is potentially looking good. But yeah, since we took our entry, I mean, obviously we had the first big candle here, right? Again, we haven't broken that. We just kind of been holding it. So if we do end up getting a big sell off, that will kind of invalidate the idea for me. Again, just because this buy up was good, but it was very fast, right? Obviously it made sense to buy here in the moment, but now since it came up so fast and then move this high, so if we don't hold this low here, this could be something to potentially get out of early, because again, there is still potential for another sweep, back down. So hopefully we can hold here. If not, then again, we'll probably end up closing this early for a half loss and then try and take another position later on. Yeah, that's a big candle down. Yeah, I got out. Yeah, I mean, again, because the buy up was so fast. Yeah, all right. Go ahead and get out. The buy made sense when we took it, right? But now that we see how price went ahead and bought up like that, kind of changes the look for me, where I probably think it's actually more likely that we're going to end up getting another sweep. And then we're going to be able to look for the buys later on. These are kind of the red flags for me, that kind of price action. When we get a nice buy up, that's great. But when we just end up, just dropping straight through it, or not really holding above these highs well, we literally just come above those highs and then we just instantly go down. So for me, red flag, right? That's kind of the thing that will make me get out. And since my full risk was only down until here, right? Coming back down below here was only a half of the risk, right? And it was already a half risk trade, right? So, again, that's kind of how I like to manage. That's why I personally like to have the bigger stop. There's a lot of people who, trade smart money and stuff. And, they might use this as a stop loss, for example, right? Maybe that's why we might reverse, but, a lot of people who trade smart money might use this as a stop loss. The reason why I don't do that, obviously you can have a better risk to reward, but at the same time, it's if I use my stop here, if price comes down here the way that it did, I would have been basically at a full loss, right? But since I chose the bigger stop, the safer stop, when price came down here, I was only at half, right? Because overall, my 1% was now across this range as opposed to being across this range, right? So obviously we could think about the risk to reward, but we could also think about the fact that if your stop is bigger, you can trade manage a lot better, right? And obviously just having good entries and, precision type entries, where we had our entry was perfect, to really not have too much downside on that good entry. And again, I do think that when this buy does happen, it's going to be a big buy. So, it's worth it to take multiple attempts for something like that. I think it could potentially be a high risk reward setup, but we just got to wait it out, because again, I do think that, we will target these highs, hopefully. But yeah, it's just about when, right? Just finding our timing. This is a sweep. We just don't know how long the sweep is going to be, right? So we can stop here, right? Or maybe the sweep doesn't stop here and it just goes all the way till here instead. We got to wait for the right price action. We got to wait for price to start to work its way higher, and then we can try and find an entry later on, right? So now we got potential 3-minute down candle, right? 5 minutes about to close in 1 minute. Yeah, let's see, right? So again, the idea would be we would want to see price come above, right? Create a second sign of manipulation. And then from there, we can go ahead and, look for order flow to bring us higher, right? But for now, nothing, no real reason to buy. Price is just dumping. Yeah, gold could still buy, we definitely came into a very extreme area. So it's very difficult to position yourself in there. in my opinion. 3 minute here, we kind of do have a nice candle. So, but since we did hold, technically it is a 5 phases setup. To if this is going to be the mitigation, we have a break, right? If we were to get a retracement, technically that would be a 5 phases setup for a buy. So if you do like it, basically inside of this zone would be like potentially that for a type 1 to see continuations long. Let's look at silver as well, see if it aligns. Silver still dumping, right? Definitely a very extreme area here that we can see, right? Like this is where we are now in silver. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take a position on gold. Um, basically we swept to the low of the candle here, right? We got back into this previous zone here as well, which barely broke the high here. Hopefully we can still continue to buy. But yeah, basically stops would be up until the low. We also have a 5 minute down candle in there, so it's not bad actually. We have to just see like if this zone actually ends up holding or not. If not, then that's that. But damn, big sell off. Doesn't look good, I would say. This is really the low we were looking at, right? The sweep, the push back up, right? Coming back into that area that we previously already had manipulation. Give that some space. If it does react here, then again, it would still be holding order flow. Even though we did end up having like a really big sell off here, again, we can easily just engulf to the upside. And buy back up. This 3 minute also does end up, pushing back up. It would look good, right? Same with the 5 minutes. So, it could be that we just did have that one down move, come back into that extreme area and then buy it from there. Execution, pretty poor, unfortunately, right? Like definitely, all we were really looking for was a sweep on this low, which we did end up getting. So that's why we actually, entered in. But obviously, stuff like this happens. We do end up getting big sweeps that come in, right? So it definitely happens. Gotta let the market do its thing sometimes, right? Looking pretty good, looking pretty good. And again, like really that 3 minute down candle, right? Looks good, right? 5 minute down candle looks good. Not super proud of the execution, not gonna lie to you. But it's all right. But again, I think we might have caught the bottom here. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Yo, if you guys caught these entries like right now, I want you guys to drop them in the chat. Oh my God, look at gold, man. Let's go. That's it. So, much love, guys. Much appreciation. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right. Peace out. Deuces. Yo, what is good, family? So, unfortunately, after we took partials, the recording stopped, but I wanted to come in and update. It's been about 5 hours since we called out this entry on gold, and it has gone absolutely crazy, right? As we said, going ahead and clearing up all the liquidity. Currently, we are up about 745 pips. Crazy trade with, a beautiful entry, very, very clean entry model here as well. So, love to see that, guys. So yeah, guys, without further ado, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Much love. Peace out.